Brissos is the director of the Master's Science of Religions at Lusófona. He's the coordinator of this course. He's a researcher and lecturer and a writer, as well as the coordinator of the Ethics Commission for Science of Religions. Brissos-Lino holds a master's degree in health, relationship, and existential therapies from Superior Institute of Applied Psychology and a PhD in Psychology of Religion from the Autonomous University of Lisbon. He and his wife and children currently live in Lisbon. Not much in Lisbon is Setúbal, if I'm right. And it's a very nice, beautiful place. And a place also of one very famous Portuguese poet called Bocage. He lived in that area where Brissos lives with his family. And I have been a friend of Brissos for quite some time and following his work, academic work, and also some of the conference that he holds. And it has been a huge blessing for me to have his friendship and also working with him. So I am excited about having him this morning speaking to all of us. So I pass the word to him. If he feels like I missed anything, he can speak for himself.
Okay, thank you for invitation, for share with you some ideas about this subject. Let me put the time running to okay. I will speak about church in a post-COVID world. The subject is a research subject in different in academy in different areas, because I think there is some reconfiguration of the religious practice, I think, but we don't know very well how in terms what is this will happen. So I will share the screen. Okay, you see?
Yeah.
Okay. Yesterday, let me say, yesterday was a very good day. I became probably, I don't know, but I became a little bit surprised with the quality of the conferences about some different subjects important to the kingdom. So I hope is in the same area. Church in the post-COVID world. The influence of the pandemics, of the COVID-19. What is the influence? Well, the pandemic changed completely our lives in many ways, individually and collectively. We saw some blackdowns, in Portugal we have two periods of time, and we must become at home and psychologically and in spiritual way there are some different impacts. So with this research we try understand some of that impacts. These impacts includes the religious phenomenon, although we do not yet know to what extent it will influence it. We don't know, but there are differences. There are some reconfiguration. For instance, in United States, I asked for a, a study of Barna. Barna is an organization established in 1984, research cultural trends related to values, beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors, based on data collected between April and May 2020, allows some conclusions about the attendance of religious service in USA. This study call our attention of those who identified themselves as practicing Christians, who consider faith to be very important in their lives, and who attended celebrations in their faith community before COVID-19, more than half, 53%, claim to have attended worship regularly online. So the other enough don't attend, probably. Another 34% admit to streaming a different religious service in the internet. So it was a dispersion in the religious market. But about a third of practicing Christians, 32% said they had not attended any religious service during the lockdown. So one part in three don't attend presential or in online religious services. Although some of these faithful were part of a minority of congregations that still meet in person, it seems that they represent a group that abandoned their community, at least temporarily. So, like you can see, there are some differences before COVID-19. While some respondents reported attending online worship from both their community and others, most remained attached to their original church. Those who regularly attend the same faith community before the pandemic are significantly more likely to be loyal than those who regularly changed churches. 81 to 65. It's don't. Sorry, don't. Okay. The research allows us to verify a very clear generational pattern in the groups of people who attend religious services on the internet. Half of millennials stopped attending, 50%, as did 35% of Generation X and 26% of boomers. Note that the elderly and boomer groups together represent more than enough of the practicing Christian population in the United States, 56%. Although younger generations are more adapted to digital routines and innovations, their weak relationship with institutions seem to be confirmed during the era of the digital church. The young people needs more personal contact, human interaction. The study concludes that among practicing Christians who have reduced or completely stopped their digital attendance at worship, individual flourishing is more limited and carries more emotional burdens. Our research asks for psychological impacts too, and we verify that the emotional burdens is more present in that people that don't attend the religious services. Those who have maintained the online connection to their community during the pandemic are more likely to agree with the statement, I am not anxious about my life because I have the inner peace of God, 87% versus 76% of those who interrupted. Practicing Christians who have stopped attending church are more likely than others to say they feel constantly bored, 17-6, or feel insecure, 11-7. So the psychological impacts is visible, and in relation with the religious attendance to the services. However, most believers, even those who have suspended regular attendance at services during the pandemic, want the support of a community of faith. Across the country, practicing Christians sought prayer and emotional support. 68 of those who changed churches during COVID-19 and 52% of those who stayed in the same church. And a Bible-centered message of hope and encouragement by part of their church, 44 of those who remained in the same church, 35 all other practicing Christians. The researchers also detected the group of those who did not attend church before COVID-19 and do so online during the pandemic, but did not find it statistically significant. The truth is that 1 in 3 practicing Christians stopped attending church during COVID-19, despite evidence that the faith community exerts a socially integrative, emotionally establishing effect and promotes encouragement and hope of individuals, although the younger generation seems to have the most difficulties in replacing face-to-face celebrations with online ones, possibly due to a greater gregarious need. But in Portugal, we are speaking about United States, but in Portugal, we carried out a similar study on the Portuguese reality at my university, Universidade Lusófona. And one of the first verified evidence is that online religious services reached a much wider audience than physical meetings ever could. This is true in Catholic area, in Protestant area, and evangelical area. This probably helps to overcome the old prejudice of being seen entering a non-Catholic church, which still acts on the Portuguese mentality and inhibits many from being willing to do so, although they do not confess it, and despite Portuguese society moving towards greater religious heterodoxy according to the studies already available. This is a reality in Portugal. Still a part of the population that have preconcepts, difficulties in come to a church, evangelical church, because our country has a strong Catholic tradition, and the things is changed in the last times, mainly in the Great Lisbon area. There are studies in this that show that reconfiguration of religion in the Great Lisbon area is happening. But in the profound country out of this area is more difficult. Our study promoted by Instituto de Cristianismo Contemporâneo and this survey was intended to assess the extent to which the pandemic affected religious practice in Portugal. The online survey asked to answer each of the questions conscientiously, and only the person maintains a religious practice in the local Catholic, Protestant, or evangelical faith community. So our survey is directed to these people: Protestant or Christian area, Catholic, Protestant, evangelical, Christian area only. We ask for a socio-demographic characterization. The population, the sample of population is 436 individuals, Christian individuals. And the temporal incidence, it was in the second COVID-19 confinement in Portugal in 2020. And we collected data from gender, age group, nationality, and religious affiliation. The results: attendance to religious services. For instance, one of the questions is, what was your participation in face-to-face religious services prior to the pandemic in your community? And 89% said frequently, usually. Only 2% is never, and 7% said is punctual, not usually. So the biggest part of these people, if we inquire, is almost 90% attend regularly to the religious services before COVID-19. What was your participation in face-to-face religious services prior to the pandemic in different communities? So, in the last 2 decades, perhaps, or 1 or 2 decades, we verified this phenomenon in Portugal, and during many times it's not usual. The people go to different congregations. Usually, normally the people has his own congregation, and almost never went to other services in other congregations. But this changed in the last years. So 30% said is frequently, is usually attend to different communities. 28% said not usually, and so they are reparted. So the next question is, what is your participation in your community's online religious services during the pandemic? 74% said frequently, usually. So we can see now less people that attend to his own community online service that attend presential before the pandemics. So the religious communities lost some part of the believers that attend regularly to these communities. What is your participation in online religious services from different communities during the pandemic? It's very reparted, very divided. 25% usually, 24 not usually, 28 punctually, 23 never. So we can see the religious market in online service is attractive to these people online, because from this house they can attend to different communities. Perhaps his own community is a small community, and the communities of many people has more attractive in the musician, in the music, or praise, or so, or famous preachers, or something like that, or many people. Why were you looking to attend religious services online during the pandemic? The reasons: 89% said to steal a spiritual connection. The most part of people has the need of maintain still an individual, a spiritual connection with this community, because probably give us a sense of security, a sense to be part of this spiritual family. It was important for him during these hard times. Does your family attend online service, religious services together during the pandemic? Only 56% said frequently, usually. So we have lost people, many people lost, comparing with the pre-COVID-19 and the presential services, the family don't maintain together in the online services, comparing with before. More or less enough only. After the end of the pandemic, to what extent do you intend to participate in religious service in your community again? 91 said usually, but 7% said punctually, sometimes, and 2% said not, probably not. So the biggest part said that they won't come back to anterior situation before COVID-19, but I don't believe that this maintain connection with the practice, with the reality after the pandemic time. After the end of the pandemic, to what extent do you intend to participate in the religious service of different communities? And 45% said punctually, but 1 in 4, 24% said usually. So a significant part of the people think that after the pandemic will participate in different religious services in different communities. So if in the beginning of the confination the people show interest in the connection with this his own religious community, now 1 in 4 don't think to do the same. So many changes was happened during the lockdown, the confinations, and we have in Portugal 2 of that. So the things are dynamic, not static. So the things is moving, is changing. Intending to participate, if you intending to participate, this participation will be 50% said sometimes presential, sometimes online, and 46% said only presential, and 4% only online. So we have the people that respond to this inquiry, to this survey, is divided. Enough said only presential, another part said sometimes presential, sometimes online. So this is another sign that something is changing during this pandemic. But we ask about relational and emotional dynamics too, not about only about attendance to the services. For example, having attended online religious services during the pandemic, he personally felt 70% said in peace, felt in peace, feel in peace. So it's significant because this great part of the people, even in the telematic media, connected with the faith community, feel connection and feel in peace. 80% said anxious, 11% said sad, and 9% no opinion. So, but anyway, the biggest part, 70%, said, I feel in peace. Having participated in online religious services during the pandemic, how would you characterize your family environment? And 49% said in harmony. 33% said in peace. this answer as some this question has some answers, possible answers, and once a part of them choice in harmony, another in peace. So 7% stressed, and other 7% don't give opinion. So these answers, we can choose what answer correspond more exactly the feeling. Okay. Anyway, we have 49% minus 33%, the biggest majority said that they feel in harmony and in peace. Having not attended online religious services during the pandemic, he personally felt. So, curiously, 49%, almost enough, don't give opinion. They have opinion, certainly, but won't share his opinion, probably because it's not very funny, very good. 17% said they feel sad. 15% said anxious. Only 13% said in peace. So we can see that the people that participate in the religious services online receive an impact, emotional impact, positive emotional impact, much more important than the people don't attend these services. Having not participated in online religious service during the pandemic, how would you characterize your family environment? 50% again, no opinion. Don't give opinion. I think the reason is the same. Probably don't want recognize that negative impact of this not attendance. 40% said in peace, 14%, 13 harmonious, 11% said 11 harmonious. Sorry. So anyway, enough. Don't give opinion, and the other ones is in trouble. Other ones said in harmony, and so on. During the pandemic, did you feel supported, even from a distance, by your community? We won't put this question because I think it's important. Because one of the things we can ask is how can the religious communities practicing a pastoral with the believers in confinement, in lockdown. So 76% said too much. They feel too much supported by his own community. Anyway, 19% said not too much supported, and 5% said no, nothing. But the biggest part of people, 3 parts, said they receive support of his own community, religious community. And this question is the other side of the coin. During the pandemic, even from a distance, did you support someone in need connected to your community? Because many times we ask we look to our needs, but we don't look to needs the other people. So 55% said too much. 41 is not too much. So we can see that the biggest part of the believers receive support from his community during the blackdown. But don't give the same, in same measure, the support to other people. It's interesting. About the personal devotion, one of the questions was that during the pandemic, did you maintain your personal devotion through prayer or meditation? 76% said too much, and 23 a little bit. So the impact in the spiritual life, personal spiritual life of this situation is important, like we can see. During the pandemic, did you maintain your personal devotion through reading the Bible or Christian edification literature? 67% said too much, 29% not too much. So, and 4% nothing. So we can see the same effect, more stronger in the reading the Bible, in evangelical area and Protestant area is very important. Reading the Bible or Christian edification literature, and is less answers in this way. During the pandemic, did you maintain your personal devotion by listening to Christian music? 65% said too much, 28% not too much, and 7% nothing. So I understand that the Christian music is not so important to Catholic people in Portugal than to the evangelical people, for example. Is not part of culture, of religious culture. During the pandemic, did you keep the regular financial contribution to your community? 55% said yes. So we can see the churches as received during the pandemic, the blackdown, have less of enough of this money that received. Also, the most part, many part of the believers, many believers don't support financially the church, his faith community, then like they do before the pandemics. So the churches has many problems. I don't know in other countries, but in Portugal there are many churches, local churches, evangelical churches, with many financial problems because this situation. This study will be probably published in this year, later. I can see here some tendencies. For example, this is a phrase of a man that that study, Alfred Teixeira, that is a theologian and an anthropologist, and studied the religious phenomenon in Portugal. And he said the church's estrangement may have accelerated an erosion that was already underway. So the problem is old problem, but the COVID-19, but some more difficulties in this area. And he said too that the message was transferred to online in part. Okay, many people during the lockdowns that attend to online services. Part of them lost his will to be congregated to be in presential services, even after the COVID. This is another one from the same newspaper. Is a Catholic opinion. We did not return to the numbers before the pandemic. There is no church that can. They think the participation presential in the mass in Catholic services has less 20% of attendance. But the digital media amplify the message and go after the walls of this church. So, if you can have some conclusions, in the last 2 years there has been a much greater adaptation to telematic means in all social life, in teaching, professional life, leisure, and religious life. I see this in the academic life, in the academic life, because if somebody tells me that we can have proofs to masters or PhD in online, the people don't believe that. And now it's happened in many universities. For this reason, these numbers may be altered. I said to you that this survey was in 2020, 2 years ago. So many things was changed in the last 2 years, and that results don't show exactly what the people feel at the moment today. We believe that there will be a reconfiguration of religious practice. This is my feeling. I believe that will be a reconfiguration. In the next January next year, we are promoting another one Congress of Christianity, contemporary Christianity in our university, in the Universidade Lusófona in Lisbon, and the subject is that the reconfiguration of the faith of the faith. But we still to do now exactly in what sense and to what extent it will occur. Nobody says, nobody knows what will happen exactly. Only God knows. We don't know. But will be a reconfiguration, but we don't know yet in terms this situation will probably imply a change of culture on the part of religious leaders. We can have during 2000 years of Christianity, it was a adaptation of the leadership, Christian leadership, to the times they live. During the war, after the war, in peace times, in different times. So because the word don't change, but the times the change. So I think the religious leaders will change his culture. A different pastoral care, a new dynamic in faith communities, and an adaptation is the presentation of the gospel in the presentation of the gospel message. Probably this reconfiguration, this change of culture has these different fields: pastoral care, new dynamic in faith communities, in adaptation, in the presentation of the gospel message. But this is not new in historical terms. For instance, print page. For instance, radio and televisions. Many people changes pastoral activity because the radio, because the television, mass evangelism. For example, in this picture we see Billy Graham preaching to a crowd, and after the Second World War, we saw Billy Graham, for example, in Europe with these crusades in great stadiums. It was a time, it was a way he found to reach many people in Europe, people without hope, people they lost family, they lost his economies, they lost his peace because the war, and it was a way that Billy Graham and others used to share the gospel and the message of hope. So in the same way, I believe, like in the past, many people change his culture, starting using radio, television, mass evangelism, print page, books, pamphlets, and so on. We need change our culture now to a new world that is coming.